Thank you. Zerlene, Tia, thank you so much for letting us be all together. And just a reminder as folks are coming in, go ahead and put your name and where you're joining. Uh, I'm excited that we're gathering. I will just say 9 months ago, it wasn't clear we would be able to. So I know there's a lot of familiar faces and names in the room. Some folks are new. So just Illinois Humanities, we're a statewide nonprofit organization, like all of you. We were set up 50 years ago, and we do three things. We do grant making, and we always have for 50 years to, in particular, small and community-based organizations, humanities, heritage, history, archives, libraries, arts and culture, performances, to really make sure that there's access to the humanities for all of our residents. We also do free public programs with the humanities at the center. We do education. So we do those three things. Um, and hopefully that's not news to most of you. Last spring, our federal funding was eliminated by DOGE, and that was a third of our budget. And that's a lot. Our team and our board was really committed to making sure we could still give grants. So part of what BB and the team will be sharing out today is kind of like, how is that going to work? So, one, I'm really thrilled that we have a grants program. Many of our humanities councils in other states had to eliminate their grants programs. However, it's smaller. It's smaller than it's been in the past, and I hope that changes. And as soon as it does, we'll give away more money. But the main thing is we've really tried to streamline things so it's simpler, both on your end, but also our staff's side of things, that we're just working smarter and making sure as much of the money that we can get out the door is focused on getting the dollars out the door. So, there are a few things that will be different. One of the main things you'll see, and BB will go through all of this, but one of the main things you'll see is that in a few cases we're moving to kind of letters of intent. So we're front loading just some key questions and you don't have to go through a big application process. In other cases, we're trying to think about doing renewals so that people don't have to spend time asking for, again, the same thing you already told us about before. And the last thing is, I just want you all to know that I'm doing everything I can, and our board is doing everything we can to try to bring those federal dollars back online in Illinois. And when and if that happens, one of the benefits will be our grants program. So that's kind of the context for, if you're familiar with our program, our grants programs, why those changes have happened. And if you're new, hopefully you experience a good process, a competitive process, but a good process. And that's kind of all I wanted to share, along with my appreciation. It can feel, if you're running a humanities organization, like you're swimming upstream. Hopefully, we can ease the current a little bit, if not with dollars, then at least with trying to be in community together. So, with that, I'll turn it back over to BB. And again, thank you so much. And BB, thanks for letting me join today.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you so much, Gabe. We really appreciate you joining us this morning. And now I'm going to get into the more formal presentation of our time together. So give me one moment and I will share my screen. All right, so for today, our agenda is going to be we're going over just a little bit more into detail of what Gabe was telling us with Illinois Humanities grants updates, and then we're going to go over our project grants overview, the big meat of what we're here to talk about today. And then I'll walk you through how to apply, how to submit your letter of intent for project grants online. And then after that, we'll get into a question and answer. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll make a note of it, but we will wait to answer them until the end of the presentation. So hold on tight. just to go over a little bit and more of a reminder of who we are at Illinois Humanities, what we value are centering people's experiences, histories, and cultures. We value actively promoting equity, uplifting diversity, and ensuring inclusion, and making and protecting space for the exchange of challenging ideas, meaningful dialogue, and personal reflection. And lastly, we value intentional, partner centered relationships that build social capital and strengthen social cohesion, particularly for underserved and historically disenfranchised communities. Our impact. We're working on an update for our impact of 2025. But this is some impact from our 2024, where we had 14,087 Illinoisans were served through grants and public programming. 100% of legislative districts throughout Illinois received access to free public programming. 96% of our grant dollars supported organizations and projects in underserved communities. And we have 9 regional hubs established in rural towns and communities impacted by mass incarceration. So, something we do in grants that goes beyond our dollars is we amplify community based work. We have monthly spotlight interviews and stories of impact blog posts with support on social media and special reports. We help strengthen small cultural organizations, programs, partnerships, and planning, focus on capacity building opportunities in underserved communities. And we will also offer to do forefront searches with one of our partners. And lastly, we convene and connect partners. That's encouraging partnerships, our grantee e-newsletter, First Fridays, which is an excellent opportunity. First Fridays of the month, you get to meet with the fabulous Gabriel Lyons, Executive Director at Illinois Humanities, along with other executive directors in your field to really talk about, challenges, struggles, opportunities. It's a great way to connect. And then, of course, we have our public events. Our mission for our grants program is to support community based public humanities efforts in underserved communities throughout Illinois through grants, partnerships, convening, capacity building, and communications opportunities and resources. Our work, it emphasizes, again, the capacity building lens, civic engagement lens, and community building. We really put special emphasis on historically funded, underfunded folks as defined by our applicants. To just reiterate the updates that we have for our project grants, we've got a 2-step application process. So to better accommodate having such a large statewide applicant pool, last year all of our grants really surpassed receiving 100 applications for like under 20 awards. So just to help us accommodate that pool and really make sure that we're acknowledging the amount of time and effort it takes to fill out full proposals, we're shortening this our questions for the letter of intent, so that way it helps the capacity on our applicants end, and we're hoping it will also help capacity for our staff. This letter of intent opportunity is posted online, and it's supposed to be a short proposal form that's focused on applicant eligibility and brief program details. Once the LOIs are collected, Illinois Humanities will review them and then invite up to 30 proposals to submit a full application. All right, let's get into our project grants. If you have applied to project grants or community grants in the past, things will look very different this year. So previously, project grants had 3 categories: action, multiplier, and vision. This year, we are streamlining it to 2 categories. Our vision category was the least popular. We found that it is better served with our general operating grants. Vision was a category to have a vision for your organization. General operating grants supports the general support. So we're moving things over to our general operating grants. And then for what's remaining, we've just got our 2 categories that we're working with. So the first is project grants. These are proposals submitted by a single organization or an individual. You can request up to $4,000. And this is also new. Previously, project grants weren't open to individuals. But because Activate History micro grants, those are In a lapse year for 2026, we're opening up project grants to individuals. So if you previously applied for an Activate History micro grant, this is an excellent opportunity for you to still bring those collections, archives, and public humanities projects to your communities, and you get to apply for more funding. So we always love that. Our collaborative project grants are projects that will be implemented by at least two organizations working together. The requests for these proposals are up to $10,000, and only organizations are eligible. So individuals are not eligible for collaborative grants, just project grants. Okay, let's take a look at our timeline. So the letters of intent request is currently open. It closes on Friday, February 13th, 2026. Illinois Humanities will then review all of the letters of intent, and then we'll send a notice of invitation to submit a full proposal. Right now, it's expected for that to arrive on Friday, March 20th, 2026. Once those invitations have been sent, then those up to 30 proposals will then be invited to submit a full application. They'll have 5 weeks to complete it between the end of March and end of April. Then Illinois Humanities will review those full proposals, and award notifications will be out in May 2026. So getting into the basics for our project grants, we're focusing on just the singular project grants. These are for public humanities projects with emphasis on audience engagement, oral history, documentary films, speaker series, exhibits, archives, etc. The grant amount is $4,000 plus stipends, so there still is available a $250 stipend to help with the accessibility, media coverage, and documentation of your project. It's something that you can opt in or out of, and we'll ask you to indicate that in your letter of intent. To be eligible, you must be a tax exempt organization in good standing. We'll talk more about what that means later. And you do not have to be a humanities organization to apply for these grants, and we're open to individuals. For the collaborative project grants, these are for strategic partnerships in the public humanities meant to strengthen a given sector, network, coalition, or community. And that's $10,000 as a stipend amount. Again, that's at $250 for accessibility and media. For eligibility, it must be a tax exempt organization in good standing. Again, does not have to be a humanities organization, and this one, no individuals. So what do we mean when we say good standing? So that means all of our organizations who are applying must have an active 501c3 status in compliance with the IRS. If you are not in good standing, or if you're a nonprofit organization that does not have 501c3 status, you can work with a fiscal sponsor. The fiscal sponsor must have that active 501c3 status in good standing with the IRS, which essentially means you have submitted tax filings within the last 3 years, and the IRS will revoke a 501c3 status if you have not complied to file your taxes. So that's what we mean by good standing, is that the IRS is aware of your funding activities and you have not had your status revoked. So whether your organization has that status, or if you work with a fiscal sponsor that has that status, then you are eligible to apply for our project grants. And just to note that Illinois Humanities does not fund alcoholic beverages, for-profit businesses, capital projects, endowment campaigns, foreign travel, lobbying, major equipment purchases, and programming outside of the humanities. So we really want to make sure that all of the projects that you submit are deeply rooted in the humanities. So now you know what you're applying for. How are we going to do it? So all of our submissions are going to be online using the Illinois Humanities online platform. So to access the Project Grants LOI submission form, you can visit our website at ilhumanities.org/grants. And you'll want to click on the top of the page. There'll be a button that says Online Portal, and that will be your entry point to our online system. Once you arrive to our login page, please enter your credentials or create an account if you don't have one. If you're not sure whether or not your organization already has an account, uh, don't create one. You can email us at communitygrants at Illinois at ilhumanities.org. And we'll be able to check our system for you to see if your organization already has a record, and then we can help you create credentials that way. But if you've applied for grants previously, you're all set, ready to go. If this is your first time applying to Illinois Humanities, please create an account and you'll be ready to go. Once you're all logged in, you will select the apply button, which is at the top left corner of your screen, to enter our apply page, which will take you to the opportunities that we have available at Illinois Humanities. So we've got, as you can see on the screen here, there's a little bit of a preview that lets you know that the letter of intent submission form for project grants and collaborative project grants are available. It closes February 13th, and then you just select on that apply button, and that will open up an application. The first thing you'll be asked is to determine what applicant type are you. So are you an individual or an organization? We also ask you to complete your form name using a particular template. So please, this helps us out on the back end when we're organizing all of our lovely data in our system. So it really helps us out if you are typing into this form your organization name and then project grant LOI submission. As an example, I have our lovely Marsha P. Johnson Foundation Project Grant LOI submission as an example there for you to follow when you're filling it out yourself. As we mentioned before, this form focuses on eligibility and brief proposal details. So if you're an individual, you'll be asked about your experience working in Illinois and in humanities. You may optionally provide a resume if that's something that you feel will help communicate your work experience, but completely optional. And then you'll choose your project grants category, which this is a reminder that individuals may only apply for project grants and not collaborative project grants. The eligibility questions for organizations are a little more in depth because we need a bit more documentation. We'll ask what type of organization that you are, a nonprofit, public school, coalition, chamber of conference, some chamber of commerce, something else, let us know. Or again, we'll be asking you about your organization 501c3 status, where we give you a little bit more of an explanation here, just a review of what I said earlier. And then we also let you know how you can check on your organization status. The IRS has a search for a tax exempt organization search function on their website. And you can search your organization or your fiscal sponsor and can check on the status there. And then we'll also ask if your organization happens to have any of these planning documents, but this does not have any bearing on your possibilities of being invited to submit a full application. Just survey questions. So we'll be asking you about your proposal. We'll ask you to tell us what your project type is. So is the project that you're proposing, is it centered around advocacy or civic engagement? Is it something that deals with collections and archives? Is it something with storytelling? Let us know sort of like a general type of project that you're working with. And we'll want to know what geographic area for programming is going to be impacted by your project. And then, of course, the request amount. Our top line questions that we'll ask you to answer are for a project summary, very brief 2 to 3 sentence summary of your project. Think if I was going to send a description of my project to my local newsletter and I wanted to let folks know what I was doing in 3 sentences or less, this is your pitch. We'll also ask about your audience engagement goals, your project timeline, use of funds, and also if there's anything else you'd like to add. As you see, I noted on the screen the character count. Our character counts for our letters of intent are smaller. And they're intentionally so that way you can get out quick details about your proposal and save those really in depth answers for that full proposal, that full application. Um, so if you have any questions about that, do let me know. The character count, it does include spaces and punctuation. So if you are working on the application outside, please just be mindful of that character count. So that way, when you copy and paste your response into the form online, you aren't having to edit things down. Someone who's applied to grants, I know that is super frustrating. So please always just be mindful of how many characters you're using for your responses. And then once you have completed those questions, you are done. You're ready to review your letter of intent and then submit. You are also welcome to save your progress and come back to your letter of intent later. Please note that you can't make changes to your letter of intent after it has been submitted, but you can save it. As you can see on the screen, in the bottom right corner of your screen, you'll have the option to either save your LOI or submit your LOI. And just as an extra safety measure, our grant system does not allow submissions if you haven't completed all of the answers. So if you try to submit and you've missed a question, it will let you know that so you can complete the rest of your form before submitting. Oh, and now I have absolutely talked your ears off about our project grants coming up. So I'd love to open it up for questions and see what you all have. I'm just going to check the chat to see if there's anything. Okay, someone asked, can we apply as an individual and as an organization? Great question. You can only apply as either or. This helps us, it's really asking for you to like pick your strongest proposal and put that one forward. Otherwise, you're really just competing against yourself. And we'll only accept one of the proposals. So rather than having Illinois Humanities choose which of your applications to put forward, please make that decision for us and just apply either as an individual or as an organization. And note that as an organization, you can only submit one proposal. So either a project grant or a collaborative project grant. So one proposal per applicant. Thank you for your question. Uh, Donald, I see you have your hand raised. Feel free to come off mute and ask your question.
Thank you. The Dickinson Ensemble is doing a combined literary musical uh, program that we've already put in a grant from the NEA Big Read um, grant thing. And so we haven't gotten it yet, but we're wondering if a combination of music and literary falls within the guidelines of the Illinois Humanities.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that does. Especially when you have adding in those engagement parts. So, literary absolutely falls within the humanities. The study of music also falls within the humanities. So we'll want to know, we'll be really curious about how you are using both of those to engage with your audience about questions of, connection, humanity, um, bringing using those as tools to bring about difficult conversations. Those will all like fall within our guidelines.
Okay, yeah, so essentially we're doing three literary workshops, presentations on Emily Dickinson's poetry, and then the participants in those workshops will also be reading poetry live during the musical performance. So the music and the poetry will be presented together.
That's great. I think that is absolutely eligible. I'll just want to know more about your audience goals of engagement. So, what are you
Right,
hoping that your audience is going to take away from that program? What are they
right.
learning? And as well as the participants, what are they gaining from the experience?
Perfect. That's exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have some questions in the chat, uh, starting with Gerald. He says we filed for and received a 501(c)(3) tax exempt number. Being barely a year old, will we be considered in good standing?
Yes, you will be considered in good standing. So what we'll ask for you for like a financial document upload would be for your letter of determination. Um, and that will suffice. So as long as you have that at that active status by the time that you submit, you'll be considered eligible.
The next question is from Jessica's iPad. My project concerns collecting oral histories and would be ongoing, not limited to 1 year.
Um, that is okay, but you must spend all funds within the grant implementation period. Um, So I would encourage you to see how your project can fit within that period, which would be June 1st, 2026 through uh, May 31st, 2027. So that is the grant timeline um, on the Illinois Humanities end. So and funds have to be expended by that time. You're welcome to give me an email. Perhaps we can talk a little bit offline about your specific project. But that's what I would say as a general response for that question.
We have a question from Sue Scott. Can you clarify what equipment would be acceptable? Would a scanner be acceptable for creating a digital archive? Be fundable?
That is a great question. A lot of our with our equipment restrictions, it's really based off of dollar amount. So any equipment that is over $5,000 is not um, eligible, and a scanner would obviously be less than that. So I do think that would be an eligible expense. But in your full application, we'll want you to really talk about how the scanner is project specific, and making sure that that is something like it's. We kind of think of it as like a project supply, rather than like an equipment piece that's used, over and over again. You talk about it as the scanner is something as you need to complete the project that you're proposing.
Jefferson Mock has a question. Following up about individuals, they still need to apply via an organization as a fiscal sponsor, correct?
No. Individuals can apply as individuals. You do not need a fiscal sponsor. That's just for organizations.
Question from Tanea. Are higher ed student-led groups considered eligible partners for a collaborative? Likewise, other orgs that are LC3 or different entities.
Mm. I think that they would be eligible as partners, but not eligible to apply. So your applying organization does need to be a 501(c)(3 uh, organization, but that does not apply to the partners that you are working with. Um, so if you yourself are oh, it's Tia. Hey, yes. So that would be.
Out for everybody.
Yes, you went out for a minute.
Is he, do we lose
You
him
went out for a
momentarily?
minute. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I can field the questions. Do you mind just,
The next question, could grant funds be used for hiring a program director?
I think it's really going to depend on the project. The intention here for project grants is supporting folks out in the world to be able to engage with the humanities. So I could see that being part of what the grant would support, but probably not the only thing. Again, that's part of why the letters of intent will help us answer questions and field those things. But absolutely, partially, if that's the only thing, it would be funding. I think there would be questions about the ways in which engagement is happening. Any other questions?
This
How
is
are
from Afia. How are individuals and orgs assessed differently?
They're not fundamentally assessed differently because the goals for the program are about humanities engagement. One of the reasons we've opened this up to individuals is because, one, we know, especially in small towns and rural communities, individuals do a ton of engagement and work to make sure there's access to humanities experiences. The other is because we used to have one opportunity for individuals called Activate History, and we've eliminated that. So the intention here is to make sure that's that same impulse, that same desire to activate a collection, whether that's postcards or records or letters, for example, that you might do as an individual that's an actual public humanities experience, that is still an activity that Illinois Humanities is able to encourage and support. But at the end of the day, the intention of the program is about enabling people to engage and share humanities experiences, whether you're an individual creating that or an organization creating that.
We have
Phoebe,
another.
welcome. I'm going to hand the mic back to you.
Thank you. And apologies for my sudden technology fail and absence.
We have another question from C.S. Phillips. Can organizations apply for both project and collaboration?
You are eligible for both. You may only apply for one. Uh, can the 30 proposals involve more than one collaborations? Yes. Um, the up to 30, it will be a mixture of both project grants and collaborative project grants. We don't have like a set amount that will be for either. Can funds be used for a consultant? Yes, but we'll definitely want to know, what you'll need the consultant for. Oh, however, funds, it is, uh, if you're using, if you're paying like a grant writer or something, we would not, I would stay away from trying to use grant funds for, supplementing costs for a grant writer.
Uh,
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. This is a critical question. My apologies for having missed this earlier. Thank you, Maple. Are there other eligibility requirements beyond a tax exempt org, organization budget, etc.? Yes. All organizations must be have a budget of under $1 million or less. So that annual operating budget must be under $1 million. Thank you so much for that question.
we On the note that individuals do work where there is an absence of organizations in a community, can an individual apply on behalf of a collective of neighbors in a neighborhood?
Absolutely. All right, well, hang tight to see if there are any more questions. But otherwise, this is the end of our presentation. So if you have more questions, please stick around. If not, please enjoy the rest of your day. And we can't wait to see your letters of intent. So always excited for project grants. So we can't wait to see what projects you're excited to bring to your communities.
Thank you so much, everybody, for all the work you do every day. And be sure to sign up for the newsletter so that you can stay connected and we can stay connected with you. Thanks, BB and Tia and Zerlene, just for all of the work to bring us together today.